This is MegaChurch Pastor Joel Osteen. He's known for making a lot of money and not really helping people out too much. He has a huge house and preaches in front of a giant globe. And he has a huge following on Facebook where people write to him, like this person who said, "I'm requesting prayer for my marriage." So I made my own Joel Osteen Ministries page and responded to that person and said, "Unfortunately, your Joel Osteen prayer request account has not been activated. In order to activate your account, you will need to add a monthly donation of $24.99. That gives you 3 prayer requests per month." And I went on to explain the Platinum Prayer Request membership. That's 10 prayer requests per month and a chance to see him perform at your local arena. And people screenshotted this and shared it so much that the actual Joel Osteen had to put the fake stamp on it. His church put the fake stamp on it. Snopes picked it up. False. So I had to make my own Snopes page. True.
Self-described fake journalist, comedian, and TikTok troll Ben Palmer tricked fans of a popular televangelist with the Joel Osteen prayer request membership. I'm Yasmin Khan with Rebel HQ, and I live in Houston, Texas. Houston is known for a lot of things. We've got NASA, it's actually right down the street from me. We have a world-renowned medical center, and we are the energy capital of the entire world. And we have Joel Osteen. Now, you're all probably familiar with Joel Osteen, the Lakewood Church televangelist who tends to make headlines for very un-Christ-like behavior. Just to give you a recap, there was the time when he refused to open his gigantic church as a shelter for people who had lost their homes in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey until after the story went viral on social media. He alleged that the church was dealing with its own bit of flooding, which may or may not have been true. The church was, it has a lot of levels. I think there's an underground parking lot or a basement or something, but the church itself literally sits on a hill, so the main floor was fine. He said the church was inaccessible from the road due to nearby flooding, but locals in the area have disputed this claim. I actually used to live over there, and the flooding in that neighborhood wasn't too bad, but to be fair, Hurricane Harvey was not a normal bit of flooding. Then there was the time when he accepted over $4 million in PPP loans during the pandemic. Again, to be fair, he did it legally and his business did qualify for the loan, but it wasn't a good look considering the fact that the man drives a Ferrari and lives in a multi-million-dollar Houston mansion. But maybe one of the craziest Osteen scandals was the time when a plumber found $600,000 worth of cash and checks stashed in a wall behind a toilet at the church. This money was later linked to a burglary the church had reported back in 2014, so it's all very suspicious. Now, most recently, though, a group of protesters crashed Osteen's church service, stripping down to their underwear and shouting, "My body, my choice."
It's my body, my choice! It's my body, my choice!
Chapter 4,
Overturn, bro! Hell no! My body, my choice! I am who I say I am! I do what I say to do because I have a choice!
Living in Houston, you see Joel Osteen and his wife everywhere. Their faces are on billboards all over 45 and I-10, or the 10 for all of you Angelinos who are watching. Personally, I don't know anyone around here who likes them, but I don't exactly run in those crowds. I think it's pretty safe to say that he has a polarizing presence around here. You either love him or you find him really, really annoying. Joel Osteen came to national prominence when he started broadcasting his sermons on television, but whenever you decide to preach to a wider audience, your message tends to become more watered down so that it's more palatable to a more diverse group of people. So you'll hear things about how his message isn't just about Jesus, it's applicable to Christians and non-Christians alike. These types of comments are usually meant as a compliment, but as we're seeing more and more evangelical preachers offering political insights within sermons, it feels more like the church is doing its best to combat whatever indoctrination they think young people are getting in public schools and universities. Now, Christian nationalism is on the rise in this country, and the boundaries between church and state are becoming muddled deliberately by church leaders and politicians alike. In the case of Joel Osteen, he brings people in with very vague messaging. His sermons have titles that sound like any other self-help guru's keynote at a conference on a cruise ship. Things like protect your peace, empty out the negative, believing when you're not seeing. It's a lot of prosperity gospeling, sounds a bit of, like the law of attraction, that kind of thing. It's meant to resonate with people who maybe don't consider themselves very religious, but they can get behind a message that helps them be the best version of themselves, whatever that even means. It's like Jesus Light or Intro to Jesus, because that slope into full evangelical conservatism is a steep and slippery one. Now, at the opposite end of the Joel Osteen religious dichotomy is people like Ginny Thomas and Mark Meadows. Their text messages surrounding the January 6th insurrection have gone viral since they were released. They wanted to release the Kraken against the left, and they referred to Trump as the King of Kings, or they at least refer to Jesus working through Trump. The message says, "This is a fight of good versus evil. Evil always looks like it's the victor until the King of Kings triumphs. Do not grow weary in well-doing, the fight continues." You also have Christians pushing for more homeschooling of children rather than sending them to secular public schools where, God forbid, they would meet a more diverse group of people and be exposed to more diverse ways of thinking and living. You have Louis Gohmert suggesting that the rise of school shootings isn't the result of lax gun laws in this country, it's what happens when you take prayer out of school. And by now, most of us here are probably familiar with The Family, the underground organization that pushes Christian fundamentalism within governments, including or especially ours. They're the ones behind the National Prayer Breakfast that the US government hosts annually. Now we have GOP leaders outright denouncing the separation of church and state, arguing that the United States is in fact a Christian nation and should therefore be run as one. This is all while they fearmonger about Muslims bringing Sharia law over here, which literally just isn't happening. Most of their followers or constituents probably have never engaged with a Muslim in any kind of meaningful way, so the fear of others coming in and making them live their lives in accordance with someone else's beliefs and traditions rather than their own is terrifying to them. Even though that's not what's happening, not to them. Even though that's exactly what they're trying to do to the rest of us. Now, something that very religious people, any religion, not just Christianity, don't seem to understand is that for a long time in this country, we had to respect people's beliefs. That was the messaging that we were all given. That's what we were all taught as part of our basic set of manners. And it's still a fine principle to operate under, I think. I would say that most religious people are religious because it works for them. We all have a thing that we cling to for meaning or for purpose or discipline or whatever. We all want something to believe in. And if you can find peace within some existing doctrine, even if you choose to live unconventionally within that doctrine, that's your prerogative. Do what you gotta do. We're all just here trying to survive. But the minute you start backing legislation that hurts more people than it helps based on some bastardized version of whatever you think Jesus' message was, that's where you lose my respect. Organized religion demands a big leap of faith before you can buy into it. That's why they start you with it when you're young, or that's why people tend to find religion during times of hurt or desperation, when they've given up on the reality that they know and they want something that makes them feel better instead. It's a crutch, and if you want to believe it, do you. But I won't necessarily think very highly of your moral or intellectual competence when your delusions have somehow led you to equate Donald Trump with Jesus Christ.